Hi guys, and welcome to this week's reading vlog where we're gonna have Pinterest choosing the romance books I read for the span of the next 1 week, because frankly that just sounds so aesthetically pleasing. But also, I'm a hopeless romantic. I'm just looking for a good few romance book recommendations that are also maybe paired nicely with like flowers and chocolate the way Pinterest does it, and I feel like it would really slay with that, which is why we're gonna go find my picks for the week, see how they hit, and that's for today's reading vlog, which is going to be so fun because I thought of this idea on vacation. I'm finally doing it now and it's just gonna be the biggest blast, and so let's just hop right in. So the way I'm thinking of actually going ahead with this is actually putting romance books, maybe aesthetic, into Pinterest in my search bar, seeing the sort of photos that come up, and whatever book shows up as a photo, essentially we pick that book and kind of go ahead and read that. But the thing is, I did go ahead for like a bit of research before I started the vlog, putting that as like keywords and whatnot into my Pinterest search bar, and the thing is I was only getting like dark aesthetics with no actual visible titles, which is why I thought we'd swap it up with book stacks and stuff, and then from the stack, whatever book I see that has been on my TBR for a bit, because I am trying to like minimize my TBR in the middle of the process as well. I was thinking maybe we could pick that, go ahead and read it, and see if my Pinterest recommendations come in handy with saving me from a slump, because last week I read some of my favorite books ever again as part of like a birthday gift for myself, and I feel like I'm on a very good pace with reading right now, because I don't not want to read the way I was in a horrible slump in the first half of the month, to the point where I want that streak to keep going. And I feel like Pinterest can really save me with some cool romance book recommendations here, which is why that's what I'm gonna go do now. Find some book stacks, see the ones that appeal to me, start reading them. And right now I'm in the need for an audiobook specifically, because I will be posting this week's vlog out tonight. I need to make the thumbnail and everything else with it, which is why let's see what's the first book we end up picking out for today's vlog. I'll start listening. I'll give you an update hopefully soon on it once I do have things to say, but that's gonna be basically a plan for this week, and it's gonna be so fun because like I have full faith in Pinterest. I just know it's not gonna let me down like it never has, which is why let's just see how things go in this week's video. It's gonna be really aesthetically pleasing, if not the best in form of book recs, but again it depends, because it's like romance books, they've never really let me down, and I need to go back every few weeks to my favorite cozy comfy genre, which is romance. It's a hopeless romantic, because that never steers me wrong, and I feel like that's the mood I'm in for right now, which is why let's see how that goes. I'm gonna go pick out my first book and I'll come update in hopefully a little bit once I have things to say. But that's it for this update. See y'all in a bit, and that's what we're doing today. Who would have thought that the very same day, Sunday, is when I finished the first book for this vlog? And so, well, here I am. I have done it because I was in the mood to binge a book, because it's been a while since I've actually done that. It's been a couple days since I finished like my previous book, which is why, you know, it was all fun and games to get into this. I was listening to the audiobook, it was sped up. I flew through this one. I did get it from this Pinterest photo, so I feel like again very justified. And this one's called Summer Reading, which is very much up our alley, I guess, for this month and whatnot, because it's summer. I wanted a romance book to read. That's what I'm in the mood for, and it's been on my TBR, so it was calling out to me. And all I'll say is worst decision ever, because I hated this. But before anything, as I was listening to the book for this, I was working on this like table mat sort of thing that I'm making as a gift. But the thing is, each time I make it, there's some sort of problem with it. So the first time it was like too big in stitch count, I ripped it apart, I started again. This time it's too triangular, so I feel like I'm gonna have to rip this again, and so we're gonna need another audiobook maybe tonight as I'm making the thumbnail for today's post, but then also to like finish this out, because it's just like really pissing me off. But this is something I've been working on, and I know I said I wouldn't crochet until December, but hey, I guess this is like my final crochet until December, because like crocheting is pissing me off at the moment, so like maybe I need a break from it. But I do need to finish this off during the span of this video, and I will in the background hopefully as we pick up another audiobook. It's just this one got done by the time I made it to this point, so I figured I'd update before I get onto the next one. And for a quick premise, in this we follow Samantha. She's visiting Martha's Vineyard, where her family lives essentially. Her dad and her stepmom and her little brother gonna spend the summer babysitting her younger brother, but also trying to like find a job as a chef on the island, because she just lost her previous job. And she also has dreams of writing this cookbook, except she's dyslexic, so she has to figure out what she's doing with that. And now here's the thing that comes into play with that. Since she's dyslexic, she does not really enjoy libraries or anything like that, the conventional mode of reading. So imagine her surprise when she finds herself attracted to the library director essentially, who is Ben, who she had this like meet cute sort of situation with on the cruise over to the island. She takes his book and dumps it in the water because something happens. She thinks this other guy is gonna puke on her, and she kind of needs to like get away. way, and so they don't have the best starting out. But then as they start spending more time together, because she's dropping her younger brother off at his classes where the director essentially works, she and Ben realize that they could like spend the summer assisting each other. He's trying to find his father, she's trying to write that cookbook, but then they're also falling for each other. And again, it's like the typical romance, but it was so boring. I hated every second. This was like a snooze fest, and also they attracted to each other right from the beginning, so like there was really nothing about it. There was this one point when she's like telling herself that she needs to relearn how to be a girly girl because she's going on like her first date with him in like a very long time, and it's just like things like that really cringed me out, to the point where I don't think we're starting this video off strong, because unfortunately this was like 2.5 stars. Is my slump coming back? Who knows, but I'm done with it now. I do want to start something else because I do need another audiobook as I continue this, rip it and then restart, but also for the thumbnail tonight. So we'll see what I end up picking up. Again, go back to our photos. Let's just pray the next one is better, because this one wasn't. And I did start a couple of books on Kindle over the past few weeks because I knew I wanted to record this vlog, because the last 2 weeks I haven't had a single video where I needed like a Kindle book, and I always read on Kindle before bed at night, which is why I do have a few books started for this vlog on this that we can definitely pick and choose from, because I did see them on my Pinterest, which is why for now I'm thinking I might go start something on Kindle, because I need something to like hold my attention as my video for tonight is saving, but also then audiobooks like I said. So let's just hope that the next read is better than this one was, because I hate it every second. I just need something that's a good romance book. Even if it's a 3-star, I don't even care. It's just I need something that's at least mid, and it's not on the side of boring and absolutely horrendous like this one. So let's pray we find something better, but this one was just not it. And yeah, here we are, crossing my fingers for a better read. I'm gonna go now and let's just see what happens next. So it's the next afternoon, I have the next book done, and so here I am to speak about it. It was the next audiobook because I still needed something yesterday in the night to listen to as I was making my thumbnail and posting and finishing off like a couple of other things I needed to do for college. And the funniest part is this book was like so short. I managed to like binge the entire thing, and I had to start one more audiobook after that because I still had stuff to do, and the book ran out because again I was listening to it sped up. So at this point I have finished Summer in the City, and then after that started another romance I found off of Pinterest, which we'll get to after I guess I finish it or whatever. But here I am now for my update of Summer in the City, or Summer and the City, I'm not sure, I'm confused, but all in all to say I'm done with the book now. I don't even care about the title and whatnot because I genuinely didn't have a great time. And for like a quick premise, we follow this girl called Elle. She's like a screenwriter, and she's been hired to write this movie set in New York, except she has like writer's block and she has like a deadline to submit it in like a couple months at the end of the summer. And so now she's like rushing to get it written, and so she thinks like a good idea of doing that is actually moving to New York and then trying to visit the locations where it's supposed to be set and try to get inspiration from there. Except when she actually moves into her apartment and stuff in New York, as she's waiting to go around, she realizes that her neighbor is this guy called Parker, who she made out with in the stairway of this like one bar where there was like party she was attending a couple years ago. And they had this like misunderstanding sort of situation, which has now spiraled out of control to the point where she believes he's like her enemy and also her like twisted muse, to the point where in the past few years the only time she's able to write is when she sees stuff about him online and gets pissed off because she really doesn't like him, and he pisses her off. And so now, realizing that he's her neighbor and stuff, she thinks okay, she can kind of use him in this like messed up way to kind of get words out of him technically that she will now use as part of her story writing and stuff. And the thing is, he needs like a fake girlfriend because he's a billionaire and he has this like tech startup that's actually being sold, the company, and for the shares to go over smoothly and stuff before the media picks up on everything, he just needs to like tide them over and stuff. And he thinks she's gonna do a good job because she doesn't like him anyway, and so she won't get attached. Except as they're spending all these like montage filled scenes together, they're visiting all those locations offset for her to write the story and stuff, and then going to parties with him and galas and stuff so that he can introduce her as his girlfriend and whatnot, starting to fall for each other. And it's temporary, and also they're supposed to be like enemies and whatnot, so it's not supposed to work, and it's like a romance. And all I'll say is I hated this so much. Both the characters, they were just so unpleasant and obnoxious, number one. Number two, this is like the most like physical book I've probably ever read, because right off the bat there's a bunch of like insta love and like miscommunication thrown in there so they can like be enemies and stuff in this edgy way. And it's just, I can't take shit like that seriously these days, because enemies in a fantasy book makes sense, enemies in a romance, when that happened and she just misunderstood what he said, and she's just being so over dramatic. I don't get it. But also she was very much giving me like pick me vibes, not like other girls, because she hasn't had like beer ever, and she's like doing all these things and, you know, saying that, oh, I don't do yoga and I can't walk up the stairs and I'm like tired and stuff. Like, please stop. Okay, every time she opened her mouth, she would just say something that made me so pissed off, very much giving not like other girls vibes. And then he has this thing wherein, because he's a billionaire, he throws his money at problems and it should like disappear. And she has this thing wherein back in the day, her mom taught her to be like self-reliant and stuff because of personal reasons. You will get to those later in the book, to the point where you understand that she'll be sort of unsure about his money and stuff, but when he's blowing it on her on this like hypocritical way, she's okay with it, and when it's not, then she's having problems with it, which is why I feel like she's only considering his money to be like an obstacle when it's convenient for her, which is why that also got so annoying really fast, because, you know, he's doing all these things but they just felt so wrong and weird, like buying her like coffee place and stuff so she can have her favorite like scone because it went off menu and stuff and she just wants it. And just the way he was acting, I feel like the author went online and studied the billionaire romance trope and then tried to throw in every like cliched book boyfriend thing ever to make it look like the most generic story, which is why there's nothing to it. There's no depth or anything. It's like the most boring story ever, because obviously it's like unrealistic, but also it's like a fiction book, and like I'm not expecting it to be realistic. I like characters like Emily Henry's wherein they have depth and, you know, they advance throughout the story and you can see some sort of like development. Here in this, there was literally nothing. They are insufferable from page 1 to the very end of it, and just the way they belong together in a very twisted way, because I just, who else in the world has to put up with each other except them two, because they're so annoying. I hate them so much. This book really pissed me off because I was expecting it to be like a 5-star prediction and it turned out to be 2 stars. So here we are. I'm done with it now. I'll get to the other audiobook I started, or maybe I'll read the other book I was on Kindle with. So I don't really know what I'm doing right now. It's just, thankfully this one's done as well. And please, I just want like one good book that is not a 2-star read and it turns out to be better, because the only thing that was good about this book were the summer vibes, but that too, it wasn't giving at certain bits, which is why let's just hope the next one does it for me, because I love New York setting and this book really let me down. So we'll see what happens next. But yeah, I just need a good book right now, and why am I not getting any? Alright guys, it's much later. It's peak afternoon right now, which is why my curtain is down, because the light was backlighting the clip. But then also I've gone ahead and since my last update picked up the rest of the audiobook that I had remaining. The other one I started last night, I continued listening as I had a few errands to be running right now, doing laundry, setting everything up and whatnot, to the point where I'm done with this now as well. And one good thing I'll say about summer is the fact that I'm just so motivated and excited to read, despite the fact that I'm not having the best time. But thankfully this was not a 2-star book, which is why here I am to discuss the next one I ended up reading. And I'm so happy I picked this up, because I read the first book in this series on vacation and I knew I wanted to get to this one specifically because the way it was advertised and stuff, it sounded so appealing. But essentially, for like a quick premise, this one's called Practice Makes Perfect, something like that, and it's the second one in the small town of Kentucky, Rome, that series, whatever it's called, I have no idea. But it follows Annie Walker, who is the younger sister of the first guy, Noah, and she's the sort of person who's like a hopeless romantic. She loves reading like romance books and whatnot about pirates and stuff, and she has so much experience in that front, except when it actually comes to speaking to men in real life and getting practice on real dates. Apparently her latest date finds her so boring, and she just realizes that she is just not flirtatious in the least bit, and she's very innocent as compared to like version of herself that she'd like to be, to the point where she doesn't have any dating prospects ever. And the thing is, she wants to get married at the age of 28 like her parents did, because they passed away when she was younger, and that's like her real definition and idea of true love, to the point where she needs to speed up her dating game and stuff, and true love needs to come her way so she can actually get to all of that, because otherwise she doesn't really know what she's gonna do. Which is why enter the guy Will Griffin. He is Amelia from the first book, the girl, her bodyguard, and Amelia and Noah are actually getting married in the town, so he has to come in and make sure her security detail is tight and stuff, except the girls kind of rope him in into becoming the girl Annie, her dating coach essentially, so teaching her how to be more up her game and things, and giving her all these like lessons and stuff to kind of be her best version. Except he realizes slowly that he doesn't want to change any part of her, and he doesn't want to tutor her to attract other men because he's attracted to her, and he is starting to get jealous and stuff. But in the long term sense, she's looking for marriage, he's not. He's looking to get out of the town, she's going to stay there forever, and so they're not necessarily a match made in heaven because they can't work out, but also as you like spend time with them, you realize that they're falling for each other and the heart wants what it wants and whatnot, and that's the story. And all I'll say is this one was good. Firstly, I didn't even realize it like looking at the cover and stuff, but when they said that he has hand tattoos and stuff like flowers, sorry, I'm already a goner. But then as you keep going with it, I feel like he was so sweet with her. She's like the town golden girl and he's like the bad boy, so even that trope was great. But then, you know, getting his interactions with her and how he's just being so nice to her and showing her that her self-worth comes first and things, and then she's starting to realize that, and that truly was the best part. I feel like the only thing that I really didn't like is that right off the bat, again, there's a bit of instant attraction, but then also it's not like sped up the way the other books were, which is why it was okay to read along with anyway. I feel like it was like a good palate cleanser book. And I was listening to the audiobook and I feel like the person they hired to do Annie's voice, she just had too much of a baby voice, which is why I felt kind of weird to read about. But otherwise, as I did continue along with it, I thought it was such a sweet book. There are like lessons and stuff in the way they were interacting towards each other and like being all sweet and cute and giggly. I had the best time with that. It was just slightly better than the previous book, which is why I'm gonna give it like 3.5 stars. Not quite a 4, but it was very enjoyable anyway. The only thing is now I'm not really sure if I want to continue the series because frankly I have no interest, and if there is going to be like basic books that I'm probably going to forget in a few days, it just doesn't make sense to read the other two because I don't really care about it, which is why otherwise it was a good story to read. It's just not something that will stick with me in the long term, but it was fun in the moment with, you know, the romance and the town gossip and whatnot, because there is small town drama and them hanging out and realizing that, oh wait, they actually want something deeper. That connection was fun, which is why it was a good story. It's just, again, not the best, which is why 3.5 stars. And now moving on, now I want to read something on Kindle because I'm done with all the things I needed to do for the day, which is why let's lock in. Let's see what I end up picking up next. I think it'll be the one that I'm now halfway through, that I've been reading in random spurts and whatnot, because one also seems good enough to see and pick in the moment and see what comes with it, which is why I'm gonna see what happens now. But that's gonna be my next read, and let's hope this one turns out to be even better. It's just I'm happy now that I'm not finding another 2-star read, because frankly those were really like slumping me out. And yeah, let's just pray for the video, pray we get like a 4-star or something, because that's all I want right now. But yeah, I'm gonna get back to it. I feel like Pinterest is coming through at the moment, and let's just hope that same spree continues, because I am having a good time right now despite the fact that the books are not so great. Because binging books in the summer, especially romance books, my favorite genre ever, it's like truly the best time ever. What more could you want? Which is why here we are, gonna get to it. See y'all in a bit. Bye. Okay guys, it's officially like the evening time. It's early enough that now that I finished our next book out, which it's crazy I'm binging so many in a day, but also I'm really like excited to keep reading, which is why it's happening. But now that I'm done, basically what I was saying was it's early enough that I can still go downstairs and like watch sunset and stuff, because it's still going down and it's gonna look like perfect and stuff, and I really want to do that, which is why I'm gonna be quick with my update now, because I want to go chill and relax. And then maybe later tonight I will start like a whole other book on Kindle. We shall see, and maybe I'll be able to get done with it, because these days on this Kindle specifically I'm able to read like 90 pages an hour if it's something that doesn't require too much brain power. And if I'm reading like a 400-page book, that means I'll be able to get the book done in like a little over 4 hours, which is insane. And I don't know when that started. It's just I've been noticing over the past few days, and listen, I really want to take advantage of that while it lasts, you know, which is why we will be picking up another book hopefully today, and then we'll see what happens with that. For now though, the book that I did end up finishing out reading, this one's called Hate Mail. And for context, if anyone remembers, I think like 2 years ago when I was doing a vlog around World Book Day and there was this like sale in my indie store, I remember specifically going to cart and like putting my items on there, and out of excitement I actually told my dad that I'm gonna be doing like a huge haul and stuff. And I don't know what happened, because out of nowhere he just offered to pay for the whole thing. He was just like, you don't have to buy any of those, just leave them on cart and I'll come later in the night and I'll pay from his account and stuff, and he'll check out, and like that's it. And I was just like, okay, that's crazy, I'm getting a fun free book haul and my dad's buying all of them. So I was just like, okay, I guess I have permission to go nuts. And so I added like a bunch of books, because back then I would like buy books on the basis of their cover, and this was on my cart. But the thing is, what happened is that by the time he came in the night before the sale expired, but still in time that you know, I went back to my cart to realize that this book was sold out at that point. I feel like someone else put the copy I wanted, which is so funny because I wanted it so bad. The cover is so appealing and cute, exactly right up my alley. And so I remember being so disappointed, but then also I told myself maybe that's a sign that I should read the book first before I purchase a physical copy. And then I had it on Kindle, which is why now I did catch up on that, and now I think I still want a physical because this one was just so cute. I feel like the video is slowly turning around because I think I found my first 4-star rate of the video. I feel like if it wasn't for the conflict, which I'll get to in a second, this could have been an easy 4.5, maybe even 4.75 because I really enjoyed it. It's a very bingeable book, and if you think you're in a slump, you should definitely pick this one up. It's called Hate Mail, and essentially what happens in this is that we have pen pals Luca and Naomi. They have their 5th grade assignment wherein the teacher asks them to write letters to a person across the state and they'll mail them out. You know that assignment, everyone's done it at this point. And so they get each other, and Naomi's more than excited and willing to like write that letter because she is the sort of person who will follow instructions and stuff. Luca, on the other hand, he just doesn't want to do it. So when he receives her first letter in the mail, he ends up giving the worst like mean response ever, which starts this like string of hate mail between the two, to the point where they continue the mailing system more than any other pen pals in their class. It goes on to the point where they are in their 20s and still mailing like hate letters to each other, but it's all like fun and games. They both that they're not serious about it, wherein it's like just saying horrible things to each other and like stuff like a roundabout like joking way, almost friendly, sort of insulting and bantering with each other. Except as that's happening, you can see these two start to fall for each other until there's this one letter that comes that changes it all, and then the letters stop completely. And now it's modern day, it's 2 years later since the letter stopped, and Naomi's at her workplace. She's like a meteorologist, so she gives weather reports, and she suddenly receives like a random letter out of nowhere. It's out of the blue, and it's almost like a threatening letter, but then she realizes, oh wait, it's from Luca, except it has no return address. And this time she is more than like happy and excited to continue the mailing again because she's missed him, but also she doesn't want him to get the last word, so she's trying to track him down, trying to figure out where he is so she can like write back to him. And then also, you know, they know that they have started to fall for each other, so they want to meet and all those things. And overall, it's a really good book. I feel like the friendship in this, not just the love obviously, but like her best friend Anne and whatnot, that added a funny aspect to the entire story. Then it was their relationship. I feel like even the letters, they were extremely funny, but then the two of them specifically, they're just so sweet. I had such a good time with that, and I loved reading it. Watching these two fall for each other, that was really fun. It's just the only aspect that pissed me off is the actual like the secret identity part, almost, if you want to call it that, wherein the reveal happened. And I wish it was done slightly differently from the way it was done in this book, because I don't know, I just feel like it kind of felt wrong in those aspects. But if it wasn't for that, I feel like this could have easily been like bumped up in terms of rating, because I had a really fun time reading it. Again, like I said, absolutely binged this book. I wasn't able to put it down, and overall it was a good story. It definitely flowed by, and those like side quests and stuff adding up to actually figuring out who he is, and then all those other things, that was fun to read about. Overall, it was a good book. I feel like all the inside jokes, but then also watching them actually fall for each other with that level of emotion and stuff, I feel like a book with letters is always going to do it for me, because I just love that aspect in it. It's just, again, if the identity was handled better, this could have easily been rated higher by me, which is why here we are. I'm done with it now. So happy this got on my TBR out of the most random of reasons. Me finding it in a sale a couple of years ago, and then I didn't get it, but then now I got around to it, and I think it was worth it, which is why it's like a 4 stars right now. If I don't stop thinking about it, I could easily bump it up to a 4.25, maybe even 4.5. It's just that one little aspect that really pissed me off, because apart from that, yeah, it would have been a perfect solid read. It's a great take on the rom-com genre, because you get both the comedy of one of those sort of books, but also like the pure romance. And again, superb setting, superb story. I had the best time, and now I'm done with it. Now I'll go again, see what I'm doing, hopefully get another book done by tonight, who knows, because I'm really just being Wonder Woman with all the reading today, and I don't have a head yet, surprisingly, which is why I want to take advantage of that as long as I can, and maybe pick up something new on Kindle, who knows. But I'll be starting from scratch, so it really depends if I'm actually finishing one tonight, but I will still see you if I do. And that's crazy, because then we'll be done recording for this video and reading all the books that I wanted to by like midweek, if I get around to it. And that's just insane. One thing I forgot to say about the book is that it can easily be misconstrued as a thriller, because I feel like it's very easy to change the tone and setting of this book to make it a thriller, because the kind of stalking and obsession and the threats that are in the letters and stuff, if they are taken seriously, then yeah, that's definitely a thriller, because the way the both of them actually are doing it and like keeping up with it for all these years. It's definitely got like a creepy element to it, but I feel like the way the book made it like sweet and whatnot also needs to be studied, because I didn't get icked out in the least bit. In fact, I have annotated and highlighted so many aspects on Kindle of those letters because I found them so funny, made me actually giggle aloud. Is insane, but I thought I'd point that out anyway, because I feel like it would be very easy to like change the tone and make it like a serial killery sort of book, but the author did a very good job balancing it and making it just like okay enough, bordering on the side of normal wherein it's passable, and then that passable actually turns out to be really enjoyable because you know none of it's serious, which is why it's all fun and games, great to read about, and that's why that's something I wanted to add. Okay guys, I'm gonna be so quick with my update right now because I did get another book done. I did actually start a different book as well and get 50% of the way through, but we'll have to rush through that because I started this book yesterday night. It's called Daddy Issues. Boring as shit. I got halfway through and then I wasn't able to focus anymore, and I guess like a sign from the universe and whatnot. There was a lizard in my room. My sister saw it, and the thing is, I know it's an irrational fear. I know they're like tiny, they can't really cause any harm, but I freak out every time I see them anyway. We ran to get our parents. By the time, they came in and whatnot, it ran and hid in the wall up there. And the thing is, my room is at like a height, right? So my parents can't really climb and get it because the ladder is not that long. And also it went inside the POP, so like we're not trying to break anything, which is why I'm hoping it's left the room at this point because that was yesterday night. And yeah, I'm just shit scared at the moment because I think there might be a lizard in my room somewhere. So if I'm looking off, it's probably just me looking around trying to see if I like spot it. But there's a lizard in my room, and at that point, if you're wondering how it correlates to the story, it's because I saw it, freaked out, ran out of the room, tried to have them get them the broom and take it with the dustpan and leave it in the bushes outside, but we can't find it, so we have no idea where it is. And at that point I completely relocated, went and sat on the couch outside and realized that hey, I'm not having a good time with the book, so I'll put it down, pick up something different, and hopefully that'll help. Also kind of getting over with the lizard because I kept like thinking back about that, wasn't able to focus on this at all, put it down. Read this other book. It's called The No-Show. I just finished that, came back to this and figured let me just give an update about The No-Show first and then we'll read this again. But that one was also on the Pinterest photos and stuff, and it's a very interesting story. On paper it should be, because I feel like the concept is cool, it's just the execution wasn't. The way it works is that we have 3 different women from like different walks of life and whatnot. So there's like a life coach, there's like a tree cutter, there's someone who works at a charity shop, but they all have this one thing in common, and it's that they're being stood up on the worst day to be stood up on. They're being stood up at Valentine's Day, and their date hasn't just come and whatnot, and suddenly they're just being the awkward person at the restaurant everyone feels pity for because they just got ghosted. And so moving along, the next day they figure okay, just like move on from it and whatnot, except now you start to understand what's common between all 3 of them, and it's that they got stood up, all of them, by the same man. And so now the next day he comes back groveling into each of their lives, February the 15th, begging for like a second chance and whatnot, trying to make up for the fact that he wasn't there on the original day, and trying to like back to like score dating and stuff with them. And so all these women take him back and they accept it and they go along with it, everyone at the risk of falling in love with him, except you're trying to understand how this works because it's one man and he's juggling these 3 different women and no one really knows the truth, but somehow they're all interconnected. And all I'll say is this was marketed as a romance, but it should more or less be some sort of like tragic fiction, because it just, firstly it's too long, alright, it should have been cut short. I don't know how people sat through the whole thing without getting bored. Frankly, it's just because I was trying to get my mind off of the lizard that I even finished the whole thing in the span that I did, because it was mind-numbingly dull. I feel like it was 100 pages too long, and then when you finally get to the ending and you try to figure out what's happening, it's such like a subpar plot twist and whatnot that I guessed it at about the halfway mark, and I was just like waiting for it to be confirmed, because it very much gave me the vibes of the kind of soap operas my mom used to watch back in the day for like entertainment during dinner time, wherein you know what's going on, you're just trying to make it to the end to get your suspicions confirmed and whatnot. And the thing is, if I wouldn't have guessed it, it would have been crazy, but even if that's the case, it just does not justify how long the book was. And when you finally get the plot twist and you're trying to like figure things out from there, I just feel like the guy was such like a douche. Alright, I'm sorry, I know you're supposed to sympathize with him, I can't, I'm so sorry, I just cannot. I didn't connect with any of the women, I found most of them insufferable, and the story just dull and dragged out and boring to the point where I'm done with it now. I'll get back to another boring book after that. And yeah, I don't know what to rate it, because the plot twist would have been good if I wouldn't have guessed it, but it still doesn't make up for the fact that it was just so long and boring. which is why it's not quite a 3, because 3 stars are still books I enjoyed, but it's not quite a 2 either, because I feel like 2 are really bad books, and it wasn't that bad. It's just I feel like if it was written in like first person perspective or something, it would have been more fun and like a little bit shorter, and if it was marketed different, which is why for now I'm between like those ratings, maybe like a 2.5, 2.75. That's oddly specific, but that's what I'm thinking of right now. But yeah, I would not recommend this to anyone because frankly I just personally didn't have a great time with it. But if it's your favorite book, good for you. Everyone's just got different preferences, and had I known this is not quite a romance, I wouldn't have picked it up in the video, because like it's trying to get you to believe in the love story, but there isn't quite any. If you actually look at it, it should have been more about the grieving and stuff, but also that's just my own opinion, which is why I'm done with it at this point. I'm gonna get back to the other one, and let's hope that the other half of this is, you know, better than it was at the beginning, and hopefully we find the lizard as well, so I can sit in my room in peace without worrying for the rest of the evening and the night and whatnot. But we shall see. Who knows, maybe we'll binge up a few books as well as we're waiting and try to figure out what goes down. But hopefully this one turns out to be better than my current read was. And yeah, I'm done with the next book at this point, so I'm just gonna go because I'm distracted. I can't really think, and I'm going back to boring books again, which is so sad because we found 2 like much better reads than we were getting, and I feel like it's all back to square one right now. So I don't know, I really don't know what to say. I don't know what to think. I'm just gonna go now, and bye guys. Hopefully that lizard really just comes back out, because I'm terrified. I'm sorry, I know it's irrational, I can't help it. I'm so scared. It's not so long later, because while I did say I had halfway of the book left, frankly at this point I don't know what it is. When I'm reading on my big Kindle, I feel like I'm binging books faster than I do on my little Kindle, and I've been reading on this for the past like at least couple months at this point, from like towards the end of vacation when the one died out, to the point where now the battery is at like 40%. I usually like slow down when it hits 30 and go plug it into charge and then swap Kindles out and get to the other one. But at this point I don't want to, because I feel like the speed I have with this one is literally unmatched, because I did finish the book, but at the same time towards the end of it there were like a few segments of like discussions with the author and stuff, which already took up like a bit of page count in itself, which I skipped because I don't care to read that frankly, which is why I did finish the story. It just ended quicker than I thought it would, and I read it faster than I thought I would as well, which is why here I am to speak about it now before I can rush off to watch sunset again like yesterday. And this one's called Daddy Issues, which is so funny because I think a couple days ago was Father's Day and I'm reading this book. But anyway, for like a quick premise, we follow Sam. She's like 26 and she is living quite literally the opposite life of what she would have pictured for herself at this age, because COVID hit at the time she just finished graduating with a degree in art history, and she was just trying to like sort and figure her life out. But because it hit, she had no other option. She had kind of had to downsize and move back in with her mom in her mom's apartment, to the point where now she just hasn't gone out of the nest yet. She hasn't launched herself in life yet. She's still just waiting for her life to get back on start and whatnot, because she feels like it's on pause right now and she wants to begin her adult life, except it's already begun. She just still doesn't feel responsible enough, which is why at the moment she has like a situationship. She's kind of working as a bartender, trying to balance like gigs and stuff, trying to figure out what's going on with her life. And suddenly her mom gets this next door neighbor who's a new person, and his name is Nick, and he is basically her opposite. He's like nearly 40. He's a dad with a 9-year-old daughter, and he's basically, again, like I said, her complete exact opposite, because he has got a stable job. He's just getting his relationship sorted out and whatnot. He's finalizing his divorce. He's got his shit together. He, is like, again, reliable, independent, responsible and stuff, everything she's not, to the point where they're hanging out and whatnot because they're neighbors in that capacity. But then she starts to realize that maybe she's like falling for him, and maybe she's got daddy issues of her own, because her own father was like an absentee dad. And so getting to watch Nick with his daughter, she's trying to realize what a good healthy father-daughter relationship situation would be like. And so she admires him for that, but she's also falling for him in a romantic capacity. And being the person she is, his complete opposite, she doesn't really see herself long-term in that sort of relationship, because he's got a daughter, and how's she gonna manage being like a stepmom or something if things get serious? And so there's that aspect. But then also the fact that she's supposed to be temporarily living there with her mom. Her mom has her own life to get back to, and she at some point will have to leave as well, because she's not supposed to be there forever, even though it's been quite a bit, which is why she's trying to figure her life out. And overall it's not quite a romance, but I feel like I should have expected that, because I read the other book by this author, You Again, and that's also not quite a romance. I feel like it's more of like a literary fiction with a plot, but then this one I expected more because I really liked the cover. That's the only reason I read it, frankly, because I did read her other book. I didn't have a great time with it, which is why I was iffy on picking up her next one, but the cover really sold me on it. And all I'll say is, for me personally, if I were to sum up this book, it's not necessarily one genre specifically. Second thing is, it honestly feels like their romantic relationship, if I were to like again sum it up, is the man Nick. He's attracted to her because I feel like he's having like a midlife crisis, and then the woman, she's attracted to him because she has all these like daddy issues, which is the whole point of the book, and she's trying to find a better father or like a father figure in her life that, you know, she didn't have growing up, which was her real dad, and so she's trying to replace that father's love with Nick. And that just, it sounds so wrong looking at that like romantically, but then also as it plays out you can kind of see the way it works through, and it just, the romance really fell flat for me because again the way the two of them work together, their dynamic of the characters, it reminded me so much of that, to the point where it felt like he's sort of using her in a roundabout way, and she is letting herself get used because she wants and desperately craves that sort of attention and affection from a father figure because she never had one, which is why here we are. It kind of was weird to read about. There were some aspects that I enjoyed. Her cousin Romilly, great character. Everything else, her trying to get her life together and all those other things, yeah, it was fun, but also I feel like majority of the book was boring because of, again, their relationship and their aspects, and I didn't have the best time with it, which is why I don't think I'll be reading another book by this author. It's just not for me. But at this point I'm done with this one now, and this one was like a 3-star, still better than our previous book. And at the end of it, I was skimming through the stuff she had written and whatnot, and it mentions Weather Girl, which is a book I read a couple years ago, and it's so funny because it did remind me of that in like certain aspects and whatnot. But yeah, here I am now. We read our next book and whatnot, and now I think for tonight I would like to close off with like a final book, at least get it like started and somewhat out of the way, and then maybe I'll come update tomorrow if I have things to say. But I wanted a more rom-com-y book, so I've picked up this one, and hopefully this will make things better. It's called Love Theoretically. I've read like 3 Ali Hazelwoods at this point. I have not enjoyed one, Deep End, and the other 2, Not in Love and Problematic Summer Romance. I really like those, so I would like to see where this falls on the scale, because my friend has been begging me for the longest time to like get to this. She's like the biggest fan ever, and so at this point I'm giving the people what they want, the people being my best friend in question, kind of reading it for her, but also to see if it's actually worth it, because it's like one of her favorite books ever. So I'd really appreciate something nice right now, because I am not having the best time with reading right now, which is why I'm gonna read this now. My own dad, actually, he phoned me a little bit ago saying he's coming back home, and on the way he's stopping at the donut place, and he asked if I want like a donut and whatnot, because it's like my favorite thing ever. So hopefully he'll come back in time soon. I'll get to have a donut, read a romance book, have a good time with that, and we'll see where it goes. But yeah, just pray that my evening turns around, because right now not the best time with books, but also I'm still binging them, and that's the whole point, because summer reading, which is why I'm gonna get back to it. See you all in a bit once I have things to say, and that's it. Bye. Guys, I take back everything I may have said about this video concept, because this concept has led me into reading this book, Love Theoretically, which I just finished, and I'm just gonna say it right now because there's no point in dragging it out. I think you'll be able to tell. I just found my second 5-star read of the month, and it's my birthday month, and I'm having the best time because this book was incredible. We will discuss in a second. All I'm saying is that I can't wait to jump into the rest of my friends' book recs. I've been texting her all evening, sending her photos of like parts I loved and whatnot as I was reading, but also just like having the best time reading it. And apart from like the text and stuff, I literally forgot I had a phone because I was just so invested in the book. Had the best time ever. I haven't been able to stop reading. I literally finished this in a sitting, and the thing is, it's been raining outside. It started pouring after my last clip, which at this point I don't even like regret it, or I'm not pissed off at it or anything, because it didn't rain on my birthday, so now it can rain whenever. I don't care. And so it's raining. It gave me the perfect like gloomy weather for reading, which is perfect. I want some more now so I can enjoy that because it was so cool. But also because of the sort of atmosphere it's set up, I had no urge to like get up and continue away from my book, because frankly that had me absorbed to the point where I look a little worse for wear considering I've been reading all the time. My hair, complete mess. Do I care? No. I've just had the best time sitting down, locking in and getting through with it, which is why here I am now for my update to say that this book was insanely good. If you haven't read it, please go pick it up. I'm so late to the game, but I'm so happy I finally read this because this was just incredible. And here we are. For a quick premise, we follow Elsie. She's working as like a professor, some sort of physics related professor for like these grad students, I think. I'm so confused because it was very sciencey, the book, and I'm not really smart at that stuff, so I'm not really sure. But essentially she's working one of those sort of jobs and she's not getting paid a lot. Her paycheck is literally non-existent, so her means of living are also not that great. She lives in like a rundown apartment she's sharing with her best friend, and you know, there's like all these like insects and bugs everywhere and stuff, and she's trying to like upgrade from that. So the way she's trying to handle her paychecks and stuff and try to get more money in it is by doing another gig, and this is her nighttime job essentially, so that's her daytime. But by night she's essentially fake girlfriending because there's this app called Fo, and essentially it allows you to kind of like partner up with these clients for these gigs wherein you fake being their girlfriend. Say for example, if they've got like a nosy family who wants them to be happy but also is a little too invested in the state of their relationship, she will essentially go be hired as the fake girlfriend and pretend everything is okay, so the family gets off their back and whatnot, and she's getting money out of it, so why wouldn't she do that? And there's nothing else really involved in it, no feelings or anything, it's purely like business and whatnot. And so that's basically what she does for her client, her favorite one called Greg. His family is nosy, they want to know a little bit too much, so she's fake girlfriending for him. Except things go south when a few days later, after an event with his family, she ends up going to this job application that she got selected for at MIT. And it turns out the guy on the hiring committee for MIT, that is basically the only person standing between her and her dream job, is Jack, who is Greg, the guy who is hiring her as a fake girlfriend, his older brother. And suddenly the ruse is all up in the air. She's just like so scared because she wants that job, but also this guy is completely like against her. He seems to hate her because he's always like broody at family events when he sees her and stuff. And to top it all off, she does like theory physics and he does experimental physics, and it's like opposing fields or something like that, to the point where they have this like internal rivalry, and she thinks that because of that he might not hire her, he's going to support his own person he's backing for the job. And so now her thing is to convince him to like give her a shot, but also convince the committee and get the job and then rub it in his face. And so they're spending all this time together, throughout which she's slowly starting to understand that maybe she pegged him wrong, and so she's starting to realize that she can be the freest and truest version of herself in front of him, and you know, they're falling for each other. But then can it work out in the long run? And all I'll say is the job aspect only lasts till about 40% odd, I would say maybe 50. After that there's like a complete change in like the storyline because you know something happens. And all I'll say is, again, it's just perfect the way this book was paced, the way things went out and whatnot, everything in this book. I feel like firstly, Jack and Elsie, I love their relationship so much. He's just so sweet and charming and amazing. The yearning in this book, I feel like he has been attracted to her considering the fact that she is his brother's like fake girlfriend and whatnot, and he didn't know any of that, and he still like stayed off and whatnot. So the tension between the two of them, amazing. Every year after that show, and also the book that it was inspired from, every summer after, and the other one, those characters should take notes from how this was handled because it was perfect. There was no cheating or anything like that, even supposed, because she is his fake girlfriend. But then also moving on from that, the tension that adds to it, to the plot, to the way she's interpreting things about him and whatnot, and then when the truth comes out in the form of confessions and stuff, guys, it was incredible. And then there's like all the other scenes wherein you get to like watch them swoon for each other, and he's like being so soft for her and so sweet and nice. I just ate them up. I wasn't able to stop because it was perfect to me. The romance in this, it's top tier perfection. Yearning, if you want a guy who is sweet but also like kind of mysterious and brooding, but also very sarcastic and funny and witty and charming when he talks, literally perfect. I'm so down bad for him. But then also the other aspects of this book, I loved like the female relationships and friendships. I loved hers specifically with Georgina. When you read, you'll understand. And also her best friend, because her best friend and her relationship reminds me of me and my best friend, and so that was really funny to read about. I feel like the dynamic overall is just so sweet. And if you want something that's rom-com-y in a good way, I feel like this is the perfect book to read at the right time because it just hit me so good. And I loved every second. The only thing is it's a little heavy on like the science talks and stuff, so if you're not interested in that, you might want to skim through, but it's nothing really that important, and it was understandable to me as someone who's quite a noob at the subject. I don't know a lot, and I frankly don't care to know a lot, which is why it did get a little bit slow at those bits, but I'm not complaining because I feel like it balanced the plot out. Nothing really too fast progressed between the two of them because there was balance and whatnot, and in that sense it was perfect. I had so much fun reading. Can't wait to like have a physical copy in my hands because I loved this book so incredibly much. She's like a people pleaser, and he like helps her become her true self, and as someone who is a people pleaser myself, I was able to relate to her and obviously see myself in her. So watching that aspect too, it was just perfect to me. I loved this so much. I loved the way they talk and the things they do for each other and how the story panned out. And overall, like I said, 5 stars. What else has to be said? Which is why if you haven't read this, please go pick it up. Now after this, I'm so happy to say that I actually have 3 of her books on my physical shelf. All of these thanks to my best friend, to the point where I asked her, because she's like a pro at all of this, to give me a recommendation on which one I should start next, because the book, it actually referenced all 3 of the ones I have physically, which is so funny because the one I read, I think like Not in Love, Problematic Summer Romance, I'm not sure which one, but one of those 2 I remember it referencing like a married couple and then these guys. So now I can't wait to go reread that for the 2-sentence cameo essentially about these people. Maybe at a later point I will get to those, but for immediately right now I wanted to ask her which one I should get to now, because in this book we have a reference to one of the side characters, her best friend B, and I think B is the main girl in this one. And then we had like an Omega-verse reference, which I believe is basically the word in which this story is set. And then frankly we had like a cameo from her first couple, Olive and Adam, these guys essentially. So I asked my friend and she said that the best way to consume these romances so that you don't get like too burnt out but also you enjoy every second of them, because she, according to her, some of Allie's characters are somewhat similar to her other characters, which I definitely could see, because like a little bit of the story and a little bit of the conflict was very similar to what happened in Not in Love. I'm not complaining because I ate up both books and enjoyed. It's just, it's a little similar. She told me that I should pace 2 months between reading each of her books, so it's like just far enough between other reads that I'm not like focused on everything that happens in the other book, because if I read them back to back they're going to blur into one big meshed up story, and you know it won't really be that fun anymore, which is why she says that we can buddy read this together, because the movie is apparently coming out in a few months, and then now I can't wait to like read and then watch, because that would be so fun. She said this one's great as well, so can't wait to get to it. And she said this is also very similar to this one and the one I just finished, so if I want to get something of those vibes as well, can definitely pick this up. And all I'll say is, yeah guys, I'm gonna take that advice, give me a couple months, but after the end of those I'm definitely coming back, because I can't wait to like binge these, and I'm so happy I have them ready physically already, so I can like get to them any point, read them, and then have the best time, which I will be doing. So those are my plans for right now. Had the best time. Since I found a 5-star, like I do with any other 5-star, I'm gonna take a break on today's reading as well, because I've skipped dinner altogether. I'm not having my donut. I'll get to it in a second as like a fun sweet treat in a bit, to kind of cheer up and celebrate the fact that I found a 5-star, but also because I wasn't able to put the book down. So now I'm going to take a break, because again, like I said, after a 5-star I don't really read anything to kind of process what I enjoyed reading, which is why see y'all tomorrow when we pick up the final book I have selected for the TBR for this video. Until then, yeah, I'm just going to chill, have a night to myself, go and look up edits and quotes for this book, because I had the best time ever. And after that, yeah, I'll get to the next book tomorrow. See y'all once I have things to say about it. But overall, yeah, can you imagine, I was complaining like 2 seconds ago about finding like the worst reads ever, and I just found like a 5-star that I know I won't stop thinking about, and I need a physical copy of like immediately. So yay for me. And also it was my birthday like last week, and I got like a bunch of like bookstore credits and stuff from my family as birthday gifts, so now I know what to spend it on, and I best believe I'm going very soon to like get it. So all I'll say is this came full circle. Had the best time ever. I don't even care that there's a lizard in my room right now. I'm so happy, and that just goes to say that the book did it for me, which is why that's it for my this update. I'm gonna go now and probably ask everyone else I know to read this book, because it's just so good. We all trust my best friend at this point and her Rex, and yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna get to the next one in a bit now, hopefully, and I'll see you all hopefully when the high of this has settled, because I'm just so excited and happy and babbling right now that I'm afraid I'm not really making a lot of sense, which is why I'm just gonna go. See you all in a bit. And this was like probably the best romance book I've read in quite a while, so read it if you haven't already. I'm going now for dinner. Bye. Okay, and it's now time for the final update, because I did go ahead and read one more book, but then I just didn't come in for an update, and now I need an outro for this vlog before I post it, which is why here we are. Let's lock it and speak about it. This one's called One True Loves. I got it off of like a whole Pinterest stack, and it's so amazing because that stack had like 15 books or something like that I could pick from, and so I went with this because I actually read a couple of the other works of this author, including Atmosphere, and that was earlier this year. And I don't think I've recovered from that story. I need to go back and read it because that just broke me. It's like one of the most beautiful love stories I've ever read. So I figured, okay, I want to read more of Taylor Jenkins Reid's works, so might as well pick this one up because it seems interesting, the plot and whatnot. It was in the photo. I did start it last week because I needed something on Kindle to like read and whatnot before bed, and so I did have a couple chapters down on it already, and people have been raving about this book since literally the dawn of book talk, so I figured it wouldn't hurt to try. All I'll say is I think I should stick to her newer work and whatnot. I will read her entire backlist. Obviously she wrote Atmosphere, she can do no wrong in my eyes. It's just this one specifically wasn't too much for me. But first we'll discuss the plot. In it we follow Emma. She just marries basically the love of her life, Jesse, because they've grown up together, they've been, you know, the best of friends, and suddenly now they're getting married. It's supposed to be like her happy ending, her dream come true, except a year later, exactly one day before their wedding anniversary, he actually has to go out on a helicopter ride as part of his job, and so she's not going to see him on the anniversary, but it's fine because he's going to come back, they'll celebrate later and stuff. Until it's actually the anniversary day, she gets a call saying that his helicopter went missing and all the bodies on board cannot be recovered, and so Jesse is pronounced dead. Emma is heartbroken and suddenly her life has lost all meaning. Now fast forward a couple years later, she's been recovering from her grief and she runs into an old friend, Sam, who she used to run her parents' bookstore with, and you know, she kind of realizes that he's loved her all along, and suddenly, you know, they've got like a chance together. She's finally starting to move on from Jesse and realize that she has space for more love and happiness in her life, and so she gives him a chance. They start going out. She realizes that okay, maybe you can have a second great true love in your life, and so, you know, it all is going well until he proposes. They get engaged because she agrees, and suddenly one day they're all having family dinner and she gets this call saying, "Hi Emma, it's me, Jesse. I'm alive. I'm back. I'm coming home soon." And suddenly now she has the dilemma of choosing between her husband and her fiance because she's got both, and both of them are like the true loves of her life, and so she doesn't know what to do. And for a quick rundown of my thoughts, essentially this book is broken up into a few parts. First you get to watch her and Jesse fall in love, then Sam, then her decision and stuff. And all I'll say is just the way it's set up, and around the time that I was reading it, I was also rereading Akomov, and for some reason I feel like the choice in this book and that really reminded me of each other. So right off the bat, I think I had like an inkling of who she was gonna pick, so I was rooting for that character, but also it really made sense, and so there was that. But also I feel like it isn't like a very long book. You can definitely breeze by with it, so I feel like there wasn't much connect established with the characters. Like, yeah, she's falling in love with them, but I don't know, I did not really relate to her. I did not connect emotionally to any of them, so it was like an okay story. It was like a soap opera or something that I was watching on TV, but like just for entertainment. I wasn't actually watching because I was invested. I just wanted to read something, that's why I read it. And so there was that, which is why I did enjoy going along with the story and seeing who she would pick, and obviously the reasoning behind it and the grief that I was able to relate to. It's just as characters I wasn't very invested or caring enough for these people, which is why it didn't hit me as hard. But I did cry at the ending because somehow the author always pulls it out of me, which is why it is a good book. It's just it wasn't necessarily that great for me, so I'm gonna give it 3 stars, 3.5. It wasn't a bad read necessarily. I did finish it in no time. It's just it wasn't the best book I've ever read, and you know, the whole book definitely feels a little bit dragged out because it's only about her choice, which it makes sense, but at the same time I feel like it could have been condensed into like a short story and stuff and you'd get the same experience, which is why here we are. I'm done with the final book for this video, and all I'll say is regardless of whatever, I think this video was such like a slay because we found a 5-star read in this video. I haven't stopped thinking about love theoretically. I'm trying to like recover and move on, but at the same time the only thought I have in my head is like reading the rest of her books. And last night actually the trailer for Love Hypothesis, the movie, was released, so now I just know I have to lock in and like read that so I can get to more of Ali's work, because frankly I found a 5-star this week. It's my birthday month. I found my second 5-star. I need more from the author, and so best believe I'm gonna jump more into her work. But yeah, regardless, I had the best week ever choosing my books through Pinterest and also reading my best friend's recommendation because they came up on Pinterest, and knowing that now I have a new 5-star under my belt, literally so happy. So at this point, let me know if y'all would like me to do this video again, because I had the best time, frankly, as you can probably tell, and I would love to have it done again, because even last night when I was editing the video, it just felt so aesthetic putting those cute little photos was in beside me. But yeah, that was the best time ever. And also credits to all the photo owners, the original ones, of all the ones I've used in the video, because I have tried going back and tracing who the original poster was, but at the same time photos have been posted over and over by different people and I just don't know who the original poster was. So obviously credits to the owner. But that is another video I'd like to do again sometime. And the other one is that my friend, ever since I've finished Love Theoretically, she sent me like a whole list of her own personal recommendations and 5 stars she thinks I would enjoy, to the point where I think I would like to do a vlog of just reading all of those in a video as well. Because can you imagine if we found like multiple 5 stars, because we have the same taste in romance, and so many 5 stars in one video. That would be incredible. That would be iconic. Reading my TBR, kind of gossiping with her about it, finding my new beloved character, which is why let me know if you all would like to see that soon as well. But until then, yeah, we have reached the end of this video. If you guys did like coming along with me and whatnot, enjoy the process. Like, comment, share, subscribe. YouTube things, you know how to do them. And that's it for this reading vlog. I'll see y'all now directly next week for another fun video, because I got so much reading done this week that I actually managed to record another one, and that's also an incredible video because I find like a near 5 star in it. And so stay tuned for then, so you can watch that video and see what happens in that. And all I'll say is it's a fun one. So until then, I'll see you all next week. Take care, stay safe. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and that's about it for this one. So bye.